Hello and welcome. My name is Genaro Cortez. I'm a criminal lawyer in San Antonio. And today, I want to talk to you about the state crime of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than a gram. It's a simple drug possession crime, but it's also a felony. And for that reason, it carries serious consequences you should know about before you take a plea on this type of case. In this video, I'm going to show you how this law works. I'm going to talk to you about the penalties or jail time you may face if you're convicted of this crime. And third, and most important of all, I'm going to give you some options to consider if you have this case, if police have arrested you for this type of case and it's pending in court. But before we get started, I need to tell you a few things about this video. First, it is not intended as legal advice. It is for information purposes only. Second, if you're not a U.S. citizen, always speak with a qualified immigration attorney so they can advise you on the immigration consequences of taking a plea or being found guilty of a drug case. Third, Texas law requires me to tell you that this is a paid legal advertisement for legal services. So what does possession mean and how does it work? Possession crimes have two parts to it: knowledge and control. In other words, you need to know what the thing is that you're in control of or possessing, and two, you have to have control over it either directly or indirectly. Now, the legal definition for possession is found in Texas Health and Safety Code section 481.002, paragraph 38. And it means actual care, custody, control, or management over a thing. And so in other words, like I said earlier, you need to have both control over it, either directly or indirectly. And then to be in possession in a criminal sense, then you need to know that what you're holding is contraband. Let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say you're in a car and you're giving your friend a ride home. Your friend has a backpack and he forgets it in your car. You drive off. You're in actual control over the backpack because it's in your car. But if you don't know what's in the backpack, in other words, if he has drugs or contraband, then you don't have the knowledge or intent to hold the contraband. So that would be your defense in court, that you may have been in control over the bag, but you didn't know what was in it. And the key idea is that you don't have to be the owner to be in possession of it. You just have to have knowledge and control over the thing. Now let's assume the opposite. Let's assume that your friend has drugs in the bag and then you know about it. And he tells you, hey, can you keep this bag in your car or at your house for a little bit? I'll pick it up later. In this situation, you have both knowledge and control. You know the bag has drugs in it and you have control over it either directly because it's in your possession. In this situation, you are in criminal possession of the drugs. What are controlled substances and what are penalty groups? The DEA creates a schedule or list, numbered 1 through 5, of drugs that are regulated by the government. Texas does the same thing, and it's largely patterned on the DEA schedules. In addition, Texas creates penalty groups, numbered 1 through 4, of drugs, and they're based on two things. The penalty groups are based on two things. One is the risk of abuse the drug presents, and second, their accepted medical usage. Now, on the screen you can see the definition, but those are the two main ideas. One, do they present a risk of danger to the public or to the person? And two, what is their medical usage? Or what is their medical purpose? Drugs in penalty group 1 tend to be the more serious drugs. For example, that's where you'll find cocaine, heroin, and oxycodone listed in these types of in this penalty group. And so that, bringing it all together, that's what possession of a controlled substance penalty group 1 means. It means that you have a drug in your possession because you have knowledge and control over the drug. 2, it's listed in the penalty group but created by the state of Texas because it's got a high risk of abuse and limited medical usage. That's what possession of a controlled substance in a penalty group means. So what are the penalties for possession less than a gram? This is the most straightforward part of the case. For less than a gram, you're looking at between 6 months and 2 years in a state jail facility, a fine of between $0 and $10,000, and for many people, especially those with a clean record, probation is a strong possibility. And those are the penalties for possession less than a gram. All right, Now that we know what possession, controlled substance, less than a gram, how it works and what it means, let's talk about options. Now, this case deals with such a low level of drugs that it actually targets drug users rather than drug dealers. That's a key fact that allows defendants and their attorneys to work out more options than if it was a drug dealer case. For instance, you may be eligible for something called pretrial diversion, PTD. Now, pretrial diversion works like this. The prosecutor, if he or she agrees, they have to agree to this, will drop the case against you. In return, you have to complete drug counseling classes, community service hours, pay PTD fees, and jump through a few other hoops. If you do this, then down the road you can ask a judge to erase or clear your record. If you don't, then what happens is that the prosecutor will refile the case against you and you start over again. This is a great option for people who want to keep their record clear and don't have a criminal history, especially for people who are not U.S. citizens. If that's your case, then talk to an immigration attorney to see if a PTD option works for you. In addition, Texas law has options for people who are veterans or who go through counseling. If you're a veteran, then talk to your attorney about Veterans Court. If you complete the Veterans Court, you may get your charges reduced, dismissed down the road. And that's what's different about this type of case than it is for other crimes. Like, for example, possession with intent to distribute. Simple possession is basically a crime against drug users. And for that reason, you have more options than you would if you were charged with a drug dealing crime. All right, hopefully this video helps you. If it does, click the like button below and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for listening.